All right, guys, it's a Sunday. I'm going to try something pretty new that I haven't done ever. I'm going to be doing a video watch list in this video. I'm kind of excited about it because I can speak my mind on what I look at, because over the past couple of years, I've just been doing written watch lists. So this is very new to me. And just to preface this video, I am not the perfect trader, nor am I an expert. So take anything I say with a grain of salt. But I have been doing watch lists pretty much every single week, every Sunday. And I write down my thoughts going into kind of like a review of last week and then coming into the current week. So I'm excited to bring that to you guys. So what I'll be doing is I'll go over what happened last week, and then kind of the levels that I see in the S&P 500 the SPY ETF, S&P 500 ETF, I'm sorry, and the levels that I see in that, as well as some important economic calendar dates, as well as earnings, and then some unusual options that I usually like to dabble into as well. So stick around with me. I'll try to knock this out pretty short. Pretty quickly, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. If all goes well, maybe I'll do these more. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Okay, so on your screen here you see SPY. I usually look at my levels here. Now ignore all the lines right here. Right now these are my gamma exposure levels, and I never really delete them. So yeah, so just kind of ignore those. But on your guys' screen, you can see that we had a nice push up about 3 weeks ago. We had a nice push up over the 450 level, which took us towards the 460 level, almost, not quite, but we almost got there. But over the past 2 weeks, we've kind of just been consolidating in this range from like 450 to like 458, 459-ish. We kind of broke above it on Monday. We hit 450 on Monday 2 weeks ago, and we came up to 456, back down to 452, and then we kind of rallied up towards 460, and then FOMC happened. As you can see, this pretty big drop, and then we came back down to that 452 level again. And now we're back up. So we'll talk about those levels that I'm looking at this week. The gamma exposure levels that I look at every single week. So that's the price action that's been happening the last couple weeks. It's going to be pretty difficult to break above these 457 to 460 range. And I'll show you exactly why here in a second. So since we went over last week's price action, let's go into this week, the levels that I'm looking at. This is a little chart that I like looking at every single week in my watch list. It's called the gamma exposure levels chart. So this shows all of the expirations, all of the gamma exposure levels in SPY. So right here you see these positive levels. You guys always know that I talk about positive and negative gamma exposure levels. So positive levels reject price, and then usually negative levels attract price. So if we get upwards towards these positive levels, likely price is rejected. So that's kind of why you've seen a lot of consolidation over the past week or so around this range that we're at right now. So currently this white bar, we're at 457 on SPY. Let's see if we're 456.92. So almost right on the dot. So it's going to be pretty difficult again to break through these levels. 460, 459, they're going to be pretty tough. But we did see some bullish flow on Friday, which gives us a little bit of hope. But going into this week, I'm going to be looking very, very closely at these levels because data does change. So these gamma exposure levels can change. They can go negative. They can go more positive. It just depends on the day. But as of right now, these are very, very much so the largest rejection levels that we have. 460 more so because it's a little bit larger and it's kind of a whole number. It's more of a mental number. So that's the level that I'm looking at, and that works perfectly with the kind of pivot that we had last week. We pivoted off of like 459.50. So those are levels I'm looking at to the upside. Now, if we do head to the downside, we have a very, very large negative zone here. It's called a ghost zone when we have a bunch of negative levels bunched up. And this carries us all the way back down to like the 450 level, 449. And that coincides perfectly with where we've kind of been pivoting off of the last couple weeks. If we go back to this chart, this chart. You can kind of see that we've had some pivots off of these levels. 451, 450 we bounced off a few times, and then 449 right here, this big pivot. So if price breaks below that 457 level, I'm going to be looking lower. If we do hold 457, I'm going to have to look at this one more time. Yeah, so if we do hold like 456, 455, I'd say that we hold higher. But if we do break below 455, I'm going to be looking towards that 450 level. All right, guys. So that's gamma exposure. That's what I go over all the time. So let's look at, so I don't think there's anything really to cover that much for the economic calendar. If you guys are in either the Stonk CEO's Discord or Oasis, you guys will be able to see the calendar that I post for the economic calendar. There's not much going on. There's let's see, there's the US services PMI and then employment rate on Friday. Nothing really much that I look at too closely. Nothing really that will move the market like FOMC did last week. But that's that. So let's look at flow map. I also look at flow map every single week. So let me move my camera so I can see where I'm clicking. Flow map here. So this was on Friday, but I usually look at the weekly flow. So for this next week's expiration, 811, oh sorry, not 811, 804, you can see that we're kind of 50-50 on puts and calls. So last week we did have a lot of chop in flow. Towards the beginning of the week, we kind of bounced around from bull to bear. And towards the end of the week, it kind of got a little bit more bullish because of FOMC and whatnot. But from a standpoint at the data I'm looking at right now, is it's pretty much 50-50 with in favor of the bears just slightly. I'll probably have to be looking at Monday's flow to kind of gauge what's going on, because most of the time I'm more of an intraday trader and I look at data as it's happening. So all these things can change in an instant, guys. So just letting you guys know. So that's flow map. Let's look at some unusual options. This will be the last part of my watch list. This is usually what I go over every single week. So here's some unusual contracts that I look at. We have some high volume cheaplies. The two that I was really looking at is this one Vale, which I don't know much about this company. All I know is it's like a mining company for steel, I think. But they do have a large volume of 53,000. And then that strike 13 put for September 15th. And then the other one that I'm looking at is SoFi, which they have earnings tomorrow morning before market open, so be aware of that. I've also noticed a pattern. I also wrote this down on my watch list. I've noticed a pattern with SoFi earnings. It pumps up really high when earnings are announced, and then it pretty much proceeds to dump right after that. And that's happened. I'll have to look back exactly, but I'm pretty sure almost every single time when earnings are announced, they pump and then they dump almost immediately, like the next day. So this unusual option, these whales or whoever's buying all these puts, is likely in preparation for that. So that's pretty much my watch list, guys. I look for SPY levels. I look at unusual options. I look at some news, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned. Later on today, I'm going to be going over backtests of the convergence tool, which is going to be exciting. We'll see the win rate of convergence. But yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments if you want me to do more watch lists like this. Maybe I'll create a better script so I can be a little bit more enthusiastic about it. But yeah, guys, like the video, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.